Good evening, Kylie and Michael, and welcome to Using Classroom Screen for Class Presentations. A couple of quick things before we start today. We need to make sure that we're acting in an appropriate manner for health and safety reasons. So I'd ask that you make sure that you're in a comfortable position, that you're not going to cause yourself any back strain or eye strain or anything like that, and that you have plenty of water so that you can keep well hydrated. Quick outline of what we're going to be doing tonight. We're going to be looking at Classroom Screen, which is a presentation tool for teachers. We'll be going through having a look at some of the widgets that you can utilize and how you can modify that screen and customize it so that it's suitable for yourself. Then we're going to have a little bit of a play around so that both of you can show that you can utilize it and make the changes to that classroom screen. And then we're going to wrap it up. The class is going to be approximately 30 minutes. So hopefully we'll have an enjoyable session today. I'd like to just confirm that I have your consent to record the class today for the purposes of being used as an assessment at Southwest TAFE.
Yes, you do.
Classroom Screen is an online program that works in your browser that enables you to construct classroom or courses to do with students in an online environment, or you can use that, of course, in a normal environment in a classroom. So it works either way. It has a range of what they call widgets, and you can see across the bottom of the screen here, there's a range of probably the more common widgets that you're going to want to add to your screen. You can change your background. At the minute, we've just got a cute little cat, probably pouncing on some native bird. So to start it off, I'm going to add a widget. So to do that, you just click on it and then it brings it up. So you can move that around. That's a clock, very handy when you're teaching to be able to keep track of time, where you're up to. You can have it either with the analog and the digital. I've got a preference for just having it in the digital, so you just make it a bit smaller. You can make some changes to that clock if you're wanting to have, say, an alarm added. So if you're wanting to keep a class to an hour or an hour and a half or something along those lines, you could add an alarm there. So, you know, if we wanted to put it, say, at half an hour now, I could make that by going to 20 and then making it, say, 35. Sorry, 45. Maths isn't good at this time of night. And then you can just save the alarm. You then see that you've got in really little writing at the bottom there. You should be able to see that. There's the time for the alarm. You could have multiple alarms. You just could keep adding alarms through doing that. Range of sounds that you can use. That's the ding dong one. And there's a whole selection, and you could have the cowbell. And we can just leave that at that. And at quarter to 9, that should go off, and that will let me know that I need to pretty much wrap up what I'm doing with you tonight. So the other thing you might like to do when you're setting up a class room screen is you might want to have a color scheme. So there's a whole range of color schemes here, from the truly ghastly to some that are quite easy on the eyes. When you play around with it, you can have a look and see which ones that you're most comfortable with or which suit your personality best. I tend to go for the royal blue with a bit of a tealy, aquary color on. Makes it easier to read most of the time. It's not too tiring on the eyes, and it's not as garish as some of the other color schemes. So there's a variety of things that you might want to do within a class. You can add what is called a timetable, and again, you just click on the icon down here, and then you can open the settings. So it might be that you want to have what's going on today. So using classroom screen. So you just add that title, and then you can add an activity. So the first activity might be cover O, H, and S. So one of the things, if you're doing the online class, I should have checked to make sure that you're both sitting in comfortable positions, you're safe, you're not going to have any trip hazards if you need to get up. And if we were running a class longer than half an hour, I'd be suggesting that you take a break just to stretch. I might even have some music play so that you got 30 seconds to a minute to just wiggle all the kinks that have gone in your neck and back and so forth, just sitting quietly for half an hour. So you could add that. You might then add the next activity, which would be how to add widgets. And it doesn't have a spell check on. So you've got to go back and make sure that you get your spelling correct. Now, the little boxes here, you can go and add a picture. So for OH&S, you might use a heart. Because widgets are kind of like building blocks, I might choose the icon for building blocks. And then it's quite easy to change to the same color scheme that I use. You can move that over anywhere you want on the board, on your screen, change the size, line it up with other things. And then if you want to go on to the next thing, you just click on this background image. So background images, you might want to have a background image that is more in theme with the class that you're doing. You might want to add a bit of humor with a llama looking in from the right-hand side. It really doesn't matter. So one of the widgets that is great if you're in a classroom situation is the sound level widget. Sometimes students can get loud, unruly, and it can be a little difficult for other people to hear. So in adding this widget, you can go in and do the settings, and it works out where it's going to pick up the sound from. So the options I've got here is it can pick it up from my computer, which is the default, or it can pick it up from Teams audio device. So if I chose the computer for this one, if you were to say something on screen, you would, in the Teams environment, it wouldn't really make that much of a difference because it's only picking up from my microphone. So it's what comes out of my speakers and then goes into my microphone. If I'm wanting to do it from what within the Teams environment, the Microsoft Teams audio device would pick it up from your microphones as well. So if you suddenly had a dog come barking in or the rooster crowing really loudly, it's going to pick that up. So you can count the number of times people have been, if it's got a little bit loud. You can change the scheme. You can change, you might be able to see that in the background there, the bit that comes in, that's when it'll make a sound to say it's a bit loud. So if you started off really up here, class would have to get extremely loud before it's going to go off. If you set it back down there, it might be that if you're running a test or something like that, and you just need a very quiet classroom.
Can we test it?
Yep, I'll go back into the settings and we'll put it up at low sensitivity. We'll do it on the Microsoft Teams and we'll have a bell go like that. So if we go now, it should work. So,
is it? I can't see anything moving.
No, it's not doing that for some reason. It's going to be really annoying if it doesn't work. So I'll just try. I might have to change it back to my computer settings and see if that worked beautifully earlier today.
There we go. Seeing something now. But I think that's you talking.
Yep. Although it did pick you up there as well.
Did it? I can't see it moving.
Yeah. Okay.
Has it got me?
There. Yep. So at that point, it's quite low sensitivity. So sometimes you just have to check to make sure that your settings are working for you. You might have to fiddle around with it to make that work, but I've used that in a classroom and it worked quite nicely. So if you don't want to have have a widget there, it's very easy to get rid of it. You just hit the rubbish bin and it just removes it. So there are other things that you might want to do. You might want to add a text box so you can fiddle around with the size of the text box, and then there's a range of fonts that you can use there. So in classroom situations, that this particular font is excellent. It's designed so that people who are dyslexic can read it more easily. Hence, it's called Open Dyslexic. You can change the sizes just like you would in a Word document or anything like that. So if we come into here and go to 120, that's going to make it quite large. You can do the normal things of making it bold and underlined. So you can turn them on and off quite easily, and you can even make it italicized. So I'm not dyslexic, so I don't actually know if that makes much of a difference, but I understand from people who have dyslexia, being able to read these particular fonts makes it life so much simpler for them. So often that would be handy in a class if you're wanting to make sure that if you do have somebody who has dyslexia, they're going to be able to read it. And like everything else, you can change the color scheme.
That certain fonts in general are better as well. So things like instead of Times New Roman, if you're using Arial or Calibri, they're usually better as well.
Yeah, the sans serif fonts, so without the little curly bits at the bottom and at the top, are much better for people to be able to read. There's some very funny video clips on the fonts arguing with each other over who's better. Often you might want to run a poll in a class. So you can add a poll. You can do that as multiple choice, as smileys, true or false. You could have multiple polls as you're going through a class if you're wanting to ask learners questions to make sure that they're understanding what's being taught. Those polls can be done quite easily. You might choose a multiple choice one. You could come up with, what did you think of today's lesson? It was great. I didn't understand it. I fell asleep in class. So you can have as many options as you really want, because you can just keep adding options until you've got all the options that you want to have covered. And then you can, again, change the size of those. You can move it around. One of the settings are, if you want to go into it, you can have it so that you've got closed voting, open voting, and closed voting. You can hide the results. So there's a great deal of flexibility with the way in which you can use many of these widgets. Yep, Michael?
Sorry, I just moved my hand. Sorry, it wasn't a...
Yeah, no, that's all right. Because I'm not actually watching the screen where you guys are, I can't quite necessarily see it.
Yeah, that's no sudden movement, sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. This is really handy. You can embed documents. You can embed PowerPoint presentations. There's a specific one for embedding YouTube videos. So if we were wanting to use embed a PowerPoint presentation, you go into the PowerPoint. Once you've got your PowerPoint presentation all set up, you go into File and Share. And once you've got that, it creates an embed code, and you just pop that in there, and then that appears straight away into your document. You can then resize this however you want to make it easy. You can have multiple screens, so you can swap between the screens, but that works for putting things like a Word document or a PDF or a PowerPoint presentation onto your page. If you're wanting to add a video, you go video, and you just put the YouTube URL. So if we're going to go to YouTube, and I'm assuming
and look up the sulfuric acid and sugar one.
Okay, so sulfuric acid and sugar.
Yep.
And we click on that. We then have a URL at the top.
We're in the demo lab with Lonnie, where he's...
And we go back to Now, has that come back up to the?
No,
Trying to-
I haven't. We haven't got the
Lost you.
classroom.
I think I clicked off something too quickly. My apologies. I'll get it back on the screen. I was going to remember where I put the video. Oh, there you are. That should be back better.
Yep.
Yep.
So you just click in that URL video, and so that video is sitting in. You can move that around to wherever you want it to be. You can make it by going into the settings. Sorry, I'm getting carried away with my mouse.
Can I hide that and bring that up later on when I need it?
Yes. Yeah, I'm just
So it
trying
doesn't
to.
have to sit there in the background.
We're in the demo lab with Lonnie, where he's going to mix.
So that makes it easy if you're wanting to show a video, particularly in an online situation, because sometimes if you embed a video into a PowerPoint presentation,
It doesn't do
yeah.
voice.
Yeah, there's a couple of little behind the scene things that you've got to do, whereas that just makes it, you can hear that.
Cane sugar and
Yeah.
sulfuric acid.
So if I might let that run in the background.
Because you all want to see it.
So that can sort of sit over there. We can make it bigger. With the settings here, you can still give it the same color backgrounds. And then if you pop these here, Michael, you said, do you want it? You can bring it backwards and forwards. So you can send it to the back, so it's behind there. You can see it's fallen behind the other widgets there. So, and the advantage, if you click on any of these, it's going to put the widget up straight away. But the beauty of it is you can get rid of them really easily. So it's there.
Can you pull that? Can you pull those widgets down? As in these
ones?
No, the actual instructions.
Oh yes.
So,
yep.
Okay, good. Yep.
So they just sit back to the back there. Sorry, I misunderstood the question. My apologies. So to bring that there, because if you started to show it there, it won't really show very well. So you just go to the three little dots down the right hand side, and that can bring it to the front. If you don't want that to move from that point, you hit the three little dots again, and you can lock it into position. And it doesn't matter what I do, I can't move that anywhere. So if there's something that you have really important that you don't ever want to leave that screen, you can lock it in position. And if you want to unlock it, it's just as simple to just go unlock. So it's really handy to be able to put things like videos in. You could put multiple videos in. So if you're going into here, you could just keep. You can see you can have as many there really as you want. And again, to get rid of them, it's just a simple task of binning them. And if you kept on going and went too far and got rid of that one, you can just go undo and it brings it back. So if you make mistakes, it's very easy to fix. Often when you've got classes, you might have a number of students and you're wanting to set a group task for people to do, and you find that the people split off into the same groups every single time and you want to get them moved around a bit. You then have the randomizer, and that is here. So what you would do in that is you could create your local list. So you got a class of 15 students, you put all their names in there. So if we had, say, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and you continue, and we want to go to our color scheme and we want to randomize it. It'll just pick one person out. Other options you could do, you can actually make it so that you can choose groups of more than one. So that could choose a random person out if you were wanting to. So you might say, right, D, can you please answer the following question? C, so it stops you from picking on the same student. There might be times where you want to use dice. You can do dice to the same sort of thing. You can have them so there's 2 dice or 3 dice, so there's plenty of opportunities where you could use that sort of thing to go, right, everybody who's got 4, they go over here, and so forth. So there's a whole range of things that you can add to it.
And
Probably
I don't know if you've tested it. Sorry to interrupt, but can you sort of import a class list or something rather than having to type them?
Yeah, if you've got that in a Word document or something like that, you can do that quite easily. They've made it very, very simple. I think you can even do it from an Excel spreadsheet. There might be a time where you want to actually have somebody to read something on a website. So you might be wanting to introduce students to, say, Southwest TAFE. So you go to the front page on there, and you just want them to get to that website and go, right, I'd like you to find where the TAE course is on that website. So you've picked up the URL from there, and you can see there that the URL of https://www.southwesttafe.edu. You just go generate the QR code. If you want to change it to your color theme, you can go in and change it. So maybe we'll go for that one just to be a little bit different. That could go over there, and you have that there ready to go.
I assume you can fix that one too.
Yes, yeah, you can change that. You could have as many QR codes as you want, and if you were to test that now with a phone or an iPad or something like that, that's going to take you straight to Southwest TAFE's front page on the web. And it doesn't really matter what color you've got it in. And most students these days have got some sort of device where they can, either a phone or an iPad, where they can read that sort of thing. And I saw that you did that there, Kylie. I assume that took you to Southwest TAFE?
Yes, it did.
Yep. And you can go in and change, if you want to go in and change the URL. Let's say you wanted to go to the AFL. And that's only because I know what their website that is. So it's processing, the QR code's updated, and you can see even that's quite different now. And that should take you to afl.com.au.
Yep.
So it's really easy to put those in. You don't have to worry about how to, importing a QR code from anywhere else. You can add hyperlinks just as easily. So you could put any web page in there, and you might have that down there because during a class you want to click on it. So again, if I wanted to use the Southwest TAFE, I could just pop that in, and then it'd go generate link, and that sits down there. And it's a pretty tidy little reminder because it's brought up the little icon that will appear on your, see how there's icons across the top here for all the different web pages. When you open up Southwest TAFE, it gives you that little, or are you only seeing this part of the bottom part of the screen? You're not seeing my tabs?
No, not seeing your tabs.
Okay. But if you look on your own tabs on your browser, you'll see that there's little icons in the left-hand side of each of those tabs. Southwest TAFE's is that. And that might be that I want to bring that up at some stage during the class. So if I click on that, it brings up that web page. It might be because you want to play a video off that you can't get the URL for the specific video. There could be a whole range of reasons that you want to bring that up. So as you can see, so there's a whole lot of things there. If you want to draw, you can just do random drawing. There's stickers, there's calendars. It might be that you're wanting to say, right, you've got today's class is the 19th of March. We need to go and do other classes which are on the 24th of March and the 26th of March. So you might want to have a calendar there that is showing you what those events are. So you go, right.
Can I ask how to make another page now that it's getting quite busy?
So you add another page just by clicking at the bottom
There
right
you
hand
go.
corner.
Easy.
And so you could then, and
Can certain things follow you across pages? Say like
That
that.
was my next question.
The checklist that you were doing.
Yep, you can do that. And I will be perfectly honest with you, I haven't worked out how to do that as yet. But I will say that if you do have any problems with any of the, you've got any questions with them, their help center there is extremely good. It's really easy to understand, and they explain it to you like you're probably about a third grader, which works well for me. That means that I can understand exactly what they're telling me to do, and I don't have to go, oh, what do they mean by that? It's really, really clear. Okay, so there's how you use it is really up to you. The scope of being able to have a whole range of things happening and have your, if you've got, say, a class for an entire day, you could have the entire day mapped out there as to what you're wanting to do. You could have every single one of the tools that you're planning on using. You could have that in there ready to go, so that you don't have to be chopping and changing. It would work particularly well in a normal classroom situation where you have that up on the screen, everything's there. Every time you want to have a video as an additional piece of information, you've got it. If you want to send the students to a web page so that they can read something, because you're wanting them to read it quietly, you can provide that, the QR code, so that they can go and find that, read it, come back, ask questions. It enables you to split the classes up into various groups if you're wanting small groups, so that they go and discuss something and then come back. And then it gives you the opportunity, if you've set them some questions that you want them to ask, and then you're getting them from the small groups, you can put the answers that come up in an area where everybody can see it. And if it's, people at the back can't quite see it, well, you can just make that bigger and you can bring things backwards and forwards. I found it a particularly useful program, because it enables you to make changes and have everything in the one spot. So what I'd like to do now is, I sent you a web address. I'd like you to both go to that web address, which is classroomscreen.com, and then, if one at a time, because we can't have both of you share screens, if you can share your screen. So who wants to go first?
So I'm just there at the classroomscreen.com. Is it try free? Is that what we're hitting on?
Yeah, just free trial. It's a relatively cheap program. I think it's about $20 or $30 a year US. And you can have set up to 100 screens. So it saves your work. So you've got some lovely tulips there, Michael. How about if you add a clock to it? How would you go about?
We'll hit the clock.
Yep.
And would you like digital?
Yeah, I like the digital, and have it, put it up top left-hand corner, makes it nice and easy. And what sort of color scheme do you think you'd like? How would you change?
Find something better than that. That's a good question. Hit those.
The settings, which is a little cogwheel. Yep.
Yep. I like this one.
Beautiful. So click on that. That then goes to that color scheme. And maybe if you were to add, how would you go about adding a QR code?
A QR code. I'd hit more.
Yep.
That.
And then put a URL in.
I think you have to put the www, don't you?
I think you can probably. I haven't actually tested it without the www, but I'm going to see what that brings me up now.
Good work.
Yeah.
So that's the AFL.com. So no, you don't need to use the www. I tend to always use it, including the HTTP. but that's just a habit. So you can see that you can change your backgrounds there quite easily. I haven't fiddled with it sufficiently to know whether I can use my own photographs, but did you find that easy to put those bits and pieces in, Michael?
Extremely easy. I can see it being very, very helpful tool.
Kylie, do you want to have a crack?
Mm-hmm.
And the beauty of it being a free program, until you can use it as a free program as a trial. It doesn't. I don't think on the free program it enables you to save so that you get more than 1 or 2 pages. So if you're wanting to save more classes, then you can put that. You pay the fee. It gives you a 14-day free trial at the pro level though, so that's pretty good. So if you would add a hyperlink, Kylie, how would you go about doing that?
Here, and you want me to do hyperlink. So then, I don't know.
You want to use afl.com.au? Just
I'm gonna.
The anti-Australian Football League.
I'm going to do some shameless plugging of my own.
Go for it.
There we go.
Beautiful. I'm just going to have to make that bigger so I can read that. Talented Med Australia. And again, you'll see there that it's picked up the logo that appears on the website or on the tabs across for that particular company. So as a teacher, that's a nice visual reminder. If you've got several of them in there, you might have a Wikipedia entry. You could have something from a university, which will bring up that particular university's logo. So how do you think you would add an image? You're going to change the backgrounds.
Yeah, I want to change my background.
Looks a little bit like Machu Picchu.
Ooh, this is animated. If that means that it
It
Oh,
will move.
look! They're moving!
That's not great for your ADHD students, and I say that as ADHD because I'll go, oh, what are the fish going to do? So
it's like drawing on a fish tank or something.
yes, yep.
So what do you want me to do?
So if you can how would you add an image? Yep. So then you can make that as different sizes. So you can upload any file you like, as long as it's one of those categories.
I'll just get a picture.
Yep.
You can have a random screenshot.
Sounds good. And you've got notice there that you've got the option to be able to delete the image off the screen. So
yep.
So you can use those images across widgets. So you can make that any size you like, which can be really handy because, as you're teaching, you could have that as a small icon over to one side. And then when you're wanting it to be used, you can bring it and make it quite large. You'll see there that there's little arrows to the left-hand side of it. And if you fiddle with those, that can change the orientation from being what it is to a bit of a curve. It's off the bit of a tilt. That might be keeping it. It's a bit off-putting if you like to have things nice and neat and tidy, but it might gain students' attention from time to time. So.
And then we just delete.
Yep. So anything that you don't want there, you can just quite delete very, very easily. Now, you've got option that. I'm going to steal the screen back if I can.
Yep. Okay. I said I'll stop sharing if it makes it easier.
Yep. So both of you can see how easy that is to utilize as a tool to build up a presentation. This is one that my wife has used in some of her classes because she can make that quite big on the screen. So if she wants silence, she pops that up. If she's happy for students to just talk quietly amongst themselves, if she wants them to ask a neighbour, or She wants them to work together. She's found that sometimes with her students, they don't always remember what they're supposed to be doing because they haven't listened to the instructions properly in the first place. And if they've got a big screen reminder up there, they can, oh yeah, we're supposed to be working together on this project, whatever. So that would probably really mess with my head if you did something like that by twisting it upside down. But that might be a great thing if you've got to run a test. So you've got 10 minutes, right? For the next 10 minutes, everybody's just got to do that test. Then you've got the countdown there, and you don't have to be constantly checking your watch to make sure that you're meeting those time restraints through that.
29.90 it is US per year. That's really cheap.
Yeah. So, and that might, from memory, that gives you up to 100 classrooms. So what I'm going to do,
it's 100 lists of names actually.
Okay. So I have 2 workspaces. So I've got Southwest TAFE. So that had my previous presentation. And then what I've been doing this evening is on those 2 screens. And I also have my work one. So when I'm working at Victorian University, so you can keep things nice and separate. You can add other collections. So they call it, these are workspaces. Within those workspaces, you can have collections. So if you're teaching, say, chemistry and physics, you might want to keep your chemistry classes separate to your physics classes, but you're teaching at Melbourne High School. So you'd have your Melbourne High School workplace, and within your Melbourne High School workplace, you would have your chemistry collection and your physics collection. Michael, you might be teaching 1st or 2nd year apprentices, so you might want to keep your 1st and 2nd year classes separate for that. So that gives you an opportunity to be able to file things in a nice, orderly manner and make that easy. You can see that I've got 9 days left on my trial. I always try to use the trial period as much as I can, and then you start paying for it. You may as well not pay for something when you don't have to. So do either of you?
I'm not going to activate mine yet because I'll use it for my 4th one, I think.
Yep. So would either of you had any questions about that? Hopefully I'll be able to answer them.
I think you've done a pretty solid coverage of most of it. I'm keen to give it.
Is there a calculator? I didn't see a calculator.
I don't believe there is.
That would be useful.
That would be a very, very useful one. No, there is no calculator.
Should I make that suggestion to them?
I think that would be a very good idea. I might do that myself. So you'll see that I had the timer there before. You've got 2 other ways of doing it. So sometimes students are more visual. And if you had that up big on your screen, they've got a very clear, I can see that piece of pie is getting smaller and smaller as time ticks on. And there's a countdown there at the bottom as well. So there's different ways to do the same thing within the system, and it's just how you feel most comfortable in utilizing those. So that's one of the tools that is fantastic, I believe, for teaching, in being able to put all the materials that you want to use to teach a class all in the one place, easily accessed. You can change between those tools as you need them. Where we've got the Southwest TAFE one here, we could have 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 other websites that we may want to reference. You could have pictures that you want to bring up, several YouTube videos, and you can arrange them however you like. And you could have them on, different pages for different parts of the day or different parts of the class. There's a huge amount of tools for teachers on the web. Other ones that I would consider you looking at are ones like WordWall, and that enables you to do custom activities. So if you wanted to make your own quizzes, You can make your own quizzes. You can have word games, all sorts of things. So and with that one, you can embed the word wall URL in your classroom, and that would then enable students to do that as a QR code, and that would then enable the students to open that word wall quiz on their phone, answer all the questions, and then you as the teacher can get those answers, and you can create leaderboards that you could then have coming up on your classroom screen. But that's a whole different kettle of fish and a hell of a lot more to add. So if there's no further questions, I'll send you a feedback form if you can complete that for me. And I think that would be the end of the class.
Fantastic.
And I'm just going to stop the